Hey, I'm home.
Huh? I thought you said you were gonna be late again because of overtime. Why didn't you call? Don't look at me.
When I walked into the living room, there on the sofa were my husband and the lady doctor, entangled. She isn't the doctor treating my husband, but she works at the same hospital.
Hey, what the heck are you doing? Don't stare like that. What are you thinking?
My heart started pounding, and my mind went blank.
Are you cheating on me? What are you thinking? Cheating is just unacceptable. Well, there's a reason for this. A reason to cheat? No matter what excuse you have, betrayal is still betrayal. What do you think of me?
Not just me, but my husband, who got caught cheating, was probably panicking too. He was scrambling to come up with an excuse. But no matter the reason, cheating is absolutely unforgivable.
Do you even feel bad about what you did? You keep making excuses, but why not just admit what you did? Don't make me any angrier. Yeah, I cheated, so what? It's only natural to go for a better woman. I just followed my instincts. What? As a woman, she's way more attractive than you. That's all. Nothing more, nothing less. You need to face reality. You're the one at fault.
I was frozen in place, just standing there in shock. Feelings of affection and hatred for my husband, and anxiety about the future, were all swirling in my head, but then my husband came back. So, what do you want to do?
Hey, aren't you reflecting on what you did? If you were, you'd at least apologize.
Why would I apologize? I don't want to fix our relationship. So, no need to apologize, right? Hearing these words, my heart pounded even harder. My husband knows he did wrong, but he's not gonna apologize because he's thinking about divorce. He's clearly infatuated with that woman, and doesn't care about me at all. At that moment, I made up my mind. I'm going to make these two regret this for the rest of their lives. My name is Sarah, and right now, I live with my husband while working a sales job at a small business. I got married a year ago to the man I was dating, and we're in our first year of marriage. Neither of us has a high salary, so we aren't living lavishly, but we're enjoying our days together.
Hey, it's my birthday. How about we go to that restaurant near the station? I heard it's really good.
Sure.
Yay! I've always wanted to try that restaurant.
Since we aren't wealthy, we eat out about once a month. We mostly cook at home and avoid unnecessary expenses. Because of this, we've managed to save a little money, and those occasional treats are a real joy. Then, one day. So, I quit my job. Until I find another one, I'll take care of things at home, so you'll handle the finances from now on.
What?
For a moment, I thought I misheard him. But he said it casually, like it was just a normal conversation, while looking at his phone. Even though he suddenly told me he quit his job, I didn't know how to react.
What do you mean you quit your job? Are you unemployed now?
Yeah, that's right.
Wait a minute, you need to explain this to me. Why did you suddenly quit?
I didn't get along with my boss. I figured it'd be better to find a different job than to keep working with someone like that. I felt a bit angry at my husband as he said this while fiddling with his phone. Our current lifestyle depends on both of our incomes, and suddenly going down to just mine would be tight. I'm not saying he shouldn't have quit, but I wish he'd have thought a bit more ahead. It wouldn't have hurt to talk to me before making a decision. I couldn't understand why he decided everything on his own. He could have started job hunting before quitting. Since he always came home on time, he couldn't use the excuse that he was too busy or tired.
Haven't you started looking for a new job yet? I just want to relax a bit before starting fresh. I'm thinking of starting the job hunt next month. Next month? You know you won't find a new job immediately. You need to plan better. You're not living alone, and how are we supposed to get by until you find a new job?
You have your job, and we'll manage. You're worrying too much. His optimism didn't sit right with me. We'd have to live on just my salary until he found a new job. I sighed deeply, but there was no point in being pessimistic. At least with him home, he could help with the chores. I tried to convince myself that it wasn't all bad. But my hopes were quickly dashed. I'm home. Welcome back. I'm starving. Can you make dinner quickly?
What? You didn't hang up the laundry? The dishes are piled up, and the laundry's not folded. It rained today. Why didn't you bring the clothes in?
Today was movie day. Tomorrow's a day off, so we can do it then. My husband, lounging on the sofa in his pajamas, said this while watching TV. He hadn't done any chores while I was at work. He had promised to take care of things at home until he found a new job. I was furious and on the verge of losing my temper.
Can't you at least do the chores? You're home all day. Why aren't you doing anything?
You always did the chores. I've never done them, so I don't know how. Besides, I'm in a recovery period from the stress of dealing with my boss. Don't be too harsh on me. I couldn't argue with him. If he was so mentally exhausted that he had no motivation, I couldn't push him too hard. I knew how stressful workplace relationships could be, so I decided to give him some time. But even after a month, he showed no signs of job hunting. You said you'd start looking for a new job this month. What's going on? Can't I rest a bit longer? We don't need to rush. We have savings. You're worrying too much. He said this with a calm face, but he didn't seem stressed to me. Of course, it was possible that my husband was deeply hurt inside, even if he didn't show it. But seeing him laze around every day watching movies and playing games without doing any chores, I started feeling it was unfair that I had to bear all the burden alone.
I'm the only one struggling here. Doesn't that bother you at all?
You don't seem stressed, so you're fine. Don't compare yourself to me.
No. I do have stress at work. But if I quit now, we wouldn't be able to make ends meet. Plus, I'm doing all the chores. You could at least show some willingness to help,
I said, venting all the frustration I'd been bottling up. But my husband was only half listening, fiddling with his phone.
Are you even listening to me?
Huh? I'm in the middle of a game. Can we talk later? Even when I was trying to talk seriously, he prioritized his game. When we were dating, he wasn't this selfish. What happened? I sighed. Maybe I shouldn't expect much from him anymore, I started thinking, and soon I didn't feel anything even when he acted selfishly. One day. Can we talk? It's important. Important? Unusually, he was wearing a shirt and jeans, like he had been out somewhere. What's up? I went to the hospital today. I've been having bad dizziness lately and went for a checkup. And what did they say? I have leukemia. He said, looking down, and I was speechless. At that moment, I regretted everything I had said to him. I had thought he was just being lazy and enjoying TV and games instead of job hunting. But maybe he had been suffering from an illness all along. Maybe that's why he went to the hospital and got this diagnosis. I started blaming myself for not noticing sooner.
So, are you gonna be okay?
Well, it's not immediately life-threatening, but I need a bone marrow donor. I have to go back to the hospital to discuss it further. I see. After that, we talked about his illness, and I started doing my own research. His life wasn't in immediate danger, and if a compatible bone marrow donor was found, his chances of recovery were high. Knowing this, I rushed to the hospital. Maybe I could be the donor. I was determined to do anything for him. That's how determined I was. All right. So, I went to the hospital with my husband to get tested for compatibility. Since the results wouldn't be immediate, we went back home. I was eager to help him and hoped I could be the donor. Are you heading out again today? Yeah, I'm going to talk to the doctor about the treatment plan. There's a lot to discuss. Okay. I see. Do you want me to call a cab for you? I'll be fine biking there. I might be home late. With that, he left the house. Lately, he'd been going to the hospital a lot, and I worried about him every day. The doctor seemed to be very attentive, even seeing him after hours because of other patients. I was grateful to the doctor for dedicating so much time to my husband and thought I should do something to thank him once everything was settled. But at the same time, something felt off. Often, when he visited the doctor, he didn't come home.
Hey, it's 9 p.m. Are you still not back? We need to talk a bit more about the treatment, so I'll be back after 10.
You have work tomorrow, so go ahead and sleep.
Okay, got it.
I wasn't exactly upset, but I found it odd that he needed to talk that much, 3 times a week. The doctor knew his condition best, so I didn't interfere. Before I knew it, a month had passed. We received the test results, and I was a compatible donor for my husband. The chances were slim without a blood relation, so I was incredibly happy. However, I hadn't told him yet because I'd been so busy with work and hadn't had time with him.
Well, I finished my work, so I'm heading out for the day. I was thinking of going for drinks. Are you leaving already?
I have some things to do.
Maybe next time.
I declined the company outing and rushed home. I had planned to work late, but I finished earlier than expected. And I wanted to surprise my husband with the donor results. He'd be thrilled if I told him at the door. As I hurried from the station to our house, I saw the lights were already on. But there was an unfamiliar luxury car parked out front. Maybe we had a guest? I wondered as I unlocked the door and went inside.
I'm home.
What?
I thought you were working late tonight. Why didn't you call? Don't look at me.
When I entered the living room, there on the sofa were my husband and the doctor, entangled. She wasn't the doctor treating him, but she worked at the same hospital. They were both naked, clearly having an affair. I was speechless when I saw them.
What the hell are you doing? Don't stare. What's wrong with you?
My heart started pounding, and my mind went blank. Why were my husband and the doctor cheating here? I couldn't accept the reality and couldn't think of anything. Right in front of me, they started getting dressed.
You were cheating on me. Well,
he stammered as he tried to come up with an excuse. Even though I'd caught them in the act, he seemed to think he could explain it away. Even if there were no feelings involved, cheating was still cheating. I had no intention of forgiving my husband.
What are you thinking? Cheating is just unacceptable. Well, there's a reason for this. A reason to cheat? No matter what excuse you have, betrayal is still betrayal. What do you think of me?
My husband was probably panicking too, having been caught. He tried to come up with excuses in a flustered manner. But cheating is absolutely unforgivable, no matter the reason. Trust is the most important thing in a marriage, and this was the ultimate betrayal.
Do you feel no guilt at all? You keep making excuses, but why not just admit what you did? Don't make me any angrier. Yeah. I cheated, so what? It's only natural to go for a better woman. I just followed my instincts. What? She's way more attractive than you. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. You need to face reality. It's all your fault.
Realizing he couldn't make excuses, he snapped at me. The woman doctor sitting next to him remained silent, not even looking at me. Seeing the two of them made my anger boil over.
For now, she needs to leave. We'll talk after that.
He pulled the doctor by the hand and led her out of the house. I stood there, frozen in place, in shock. Feelings of affection and hatred for my husband, and anxiety about the future, swirled in my mind, but then my husband came back.
So, what do you want to do?
His words made me want to explode. If we were going to start over, he should apologize first. I held back my urge to yell, trying to keep calm. Getting angry wouldn't solve anything. We needed to talk.
Hey, don't you feel any remorse? If you did, you'd at least apologize.
Why should I apologize? I don't want to fix our relationship. There's no need to apologize. His words made my heart pound even harder. He knew he was wrong but wasn't going to apologize because he was thinking about divorce. He seemed infatuated with that woman and didn't care about me.
Like I said, I'm a man. If there's a better woman around, I'll go to her.
What's so wrong with that?
You're married. Cheating is never okay, no matter the reason. How can you not understand that? Don't you dare act like this is normal.
Let me tell you something. Do you really think you're such a great woman?
What?
My husband sighed and glared at me as he began to speak. I had become emotional, but his intense stare made me fall silent. Though I felt uncomfortable under his piercing gaze, he continued talking.
You're an average woman. Your looks and body are ordinary, you don't make a lot of money, and when I quit my job, you didn't even offer to support me. You're not the woman I want. So you cheated with the doctor because she has a higher social status and a bigger salary than me?
Exactly. She's better looking, and she even does cosplay.
Plus, being with a doctor makes me feel good.
Hearing him brag with a smirk made me feel sick. I couldn't believe I had married such a low-life person.
You're a scumbag who can't see past your own desires and doesn't care about others.
That's who you really are.
Say what you want. I'm divorcing you and marrying her. That'll improve my lifestyle. I'll fill out the divorce papers right now, so sign them.
What?
Do you not want to divorce me? I must be really charming to attract a doctor, but you're useless to me now. Contact me when you become a successful businesswoman. Maybe then I'll consider you.
Smirking, he went to print the divorce papers. All he could think about was divorcing me and marrying that doctor. I sighed, thinking about how quickly he had gone from panicking when I caught him to being so cocky.
I've filled out my part. Make sure you fill out yours.
Okay, got it. I took the divorce papers and filled them out. Then, I put them away and started packing my things. I didn't know where I'd go, but I couldn't stay with him in this house any longer. After about an hour, I had packed everything and went to see him again.
So, this house is in your name, and I'm leaving now. I'll make sure the divorce papers are submitted, so don't worry. I appreciate your cooperation. And about the bone marrow donor situation, I won't be donating. I don't know if you'll find a new donor, but good luck. What?
The smug look on his face vanished, replaced by a stunned expression. I had planned to tell him about the donor compatibility results when I got home today, but I hadn't said anything yet.
A donor? You mean you're compatible?
Yes.
I didn't tell you because I've been busy with work, and you've been busy with your affair and not home much. But I got the results a while ago. Really? That's great. I wasn't expecting to find a match, but this is amazing.
He started celebrating like a child receiving a gift, not understanding what I had said. I was compatible but never said I'd donate. After cheating and not apologizing. Why would I donate to him?
You're misunderstanding. I'm not donating. I'm just telling you the test results. I don't feel the need to help a traitor. Whether or not I donate is my choice. Even if I refuse, you have no right to blame me. Wait, you're serious? You can't be serious. Of course I am. Why would you think I'd donate? Are you delusional? It's common decency to help someone in need. Donating bone marrow saves lives. Are you going to let me die?
Yeah.
I don't care what happens to you. You brought this on yourself. Do whatever you want.
He collapsed to his knees, pounding the floor with his fists and shouting. It was a pitiful sight.
That's too cruel. You wouldn't lose anything by helping. On the contrary, I gain nothing from helping you. Why should I extend a hand to you? Because I'm in need. Don't you understand basic decency? Let me tell you something. When you're married, no matter the reason, cheating is unacceptable. That's basic decency.
He fell silent at my words. I thought he might start apologizing once he knew I was a match. This man is the type who'd do anything for himself. But in the end, he never apologized to me. I don't know if he didn't think he was wrong or if it was some weird pride. Or maybe he just didn't think I was worth apologizing to. But the fact is, he never once apologized to me. You know, you might lose the position as a doctor, but you two can work that out together.
What? No, you don't need to go that far.
I know you don't get basic decency, so there's no use talking to you further.
I'm sick. How can you do this to me?
Your illness doesn't matter. You have to take responsibility for your actions. You're not a child, so don't make me lecture you. Think about her and decide your actions carefully. He fell silent at my words. There was nothing more to say, so I left. I checked into a nearby hotel for the night. By morning, my husband had called multiple times. Hello?
Just please don't tell the hospital. If they find out, I won't be able to work as a doctor anymore. Please, I'm begging you.
If it's that serious, why did you cheat? It's your affair partner who doesn't understand her position. I don't owe you any guarantees.
Please, don't make this worse for me.
Unlike yesterday, he wasn't snapping at me now. His desperation was clear, but it only made me angrier. They created this situation themselves. It's absurd for him to ask me for help. I didn't want him to annoy me any further. Thinking that, I decided to speak firmly again. This is all because of your own actions. Whatever hardships come, it's your fault. That's all I have to say. Goodbye. I said that and hung up the phone. After several more calls from my husband, I blocked his number. I went to a lawyer's office to proceed with the divorce process. I decided to leave everything to my lawyer. Has there been any progress with your ex-husband? We've agreed to minimal contact, so I don't have to think about it anymore. I see. By the way, she's leaving the hospital. Having an affair with a patient is unacceptable. Later on, I spoke with the doctor who had handled my donor tests. He told me that the woman involved in the affair lost her job as a doctor. It was no surprise, but I felt a small sense of satisfaction. I figured as much. She deserved it. That's her punishment. The doctor nodded quietly. I didn't know if she would turn her life around, but I hoped she'd face her mistakes and use them to better her future. As I was walking back to my condo, I heard a man's voice behind me. Instantly, I got goosebumps. It was my ex-husband.
What are you doing here? You've been ignoring my calls, not answering any of my messages. Wait a minute. What are you doing? Are you stalking me? No, I just happened to see you. But more importantly, I've changed. I realize now that I need you. Can we get back together?
Hearing his voice filled me with disgust, but now he wanted to reconcile. I couldn't understand what he was thinking. I don't get it. I was going to marry her, but she said I was just a fling. She said losing her job was all my fault and to stay away from her. So?
I realized you're the only one I can trust. It's thanks to you that I figured that out. I want to live together again.
My ex-husband told me that after our divorce, his affair partner also betrayed him. But since he cheated, he was the one who betrayed someone first. Complaining about being betrayed is ridiculous. He's not in a position to complain and deserve to be betrayed. He mistakenly sees himself as the victim, which is pathetic. He should understand his own position better. So what? This has nothing to do with me. Don't come near me again.
Please. I have no one else. I have no job, no money. I'm begging you.
I have my own life. I will never help a traitor like you, and don't come near me again. If you do, I'll report you to the police for stalking. Now get out of my sight. When I raised my voice a bit, the people around us started staring, and my ex-husband quickly left. After that, he never contacted me or showed up again, and I now enjoy living alone. From what mutual acquaintances told me, he declared bankruptcy because he couldn't pay his debts. Since his parents are deceased, he's now living on welfare, but his high pride makes every day a struggle for him. I don't know what happened with his illness, but he probably didn't find a donor. I believe that what you do comes back to you. No one sticks around for someone who betrays others. Luck abandons them, and they'll continue to live a miserable life. That's the fate and punishment for people like my ex-husband and his affair partner. My name is Eleanor Smith. I've been married for 5 years. At 30, I'm still childless and feeling increasingly anxious about it. But my husband says kids are just a hassle and expensive. We don't need them. Let's buy a house instead. He talks about it as casually as if he's suggesting getting a pet. No second-hand homes for me. It's gotta be a new build. And once it's built, my mom's gonna move in with us. That's settled. I don't quite understand his decision-making process. But my husband is absolutely obsessed with owning our own home. My husband, George, is an only child, so I anticipated living with my mother-in-law eventually. I don't particularly dislike her, and I thought there wouldn't be any issues. Therefore, I agreed to move forward with buying a house. We carefully planned the layout to ensure a peaceful family life, even paying attention to things like the direction the house faces. The home we built is something I'm satisfied with. And so, my mother-in-law moved in, marking the start of our new family setup. However, problems started to emerge as soon as we began living together. My mother-in-law's personality, which I hadn't noticed in our infrequent meetings, became glaringly obvious. She wouldn't return my morning greetings, recleaned areas I had already tidied up, and criticized the way I cut vegetables in the kitchen. If I did it her way, the next time she'd insist on something entirely different. Maybe she's just trying to teach me. But then again, maybe she forgets what she said due to her age. I tried to think that way. However, as time passed, I started to wonder if bothering her daughter-in-law was her hobby. She always had something to complain about, no matter how trivial. She constantly nitpicked everything I did. Whenever I tried to take a shower, she would try to do so at the same time, or she would decide to leave the house at the same time I planned to. She even said that staying home was my duty as a daughter-in-law, so I was forced to change my plans. I eventually spoke to George about these issues, but he wouldn't listen and even yelled at me for speaking ill of his mother. Half a year passed, and both George and his mother stopped speaking to me altogether. It's like I don't exist, with no conversation or interaction. My mother-in-law talks cheerfully with my husband, but the moment I enter the room, they both fall silent. When I sit at the table for meals, she lets out a big sigh. The vibe's off, isn't it? Speaking of which, since Eleanor's not here, I gotta say, she's really incompetent. George, why'd you marry such a woman? Living with her is driving me nuts. Something happened? The lights in the bathroom are always left on, the water's running all the time. And clothes are strewn everywhere. How was she even raised? That's terrible. I'll talk to her next time. It's no use. She'll just deny it and make things unpleasant. The truth is, I haven't done any of that. In fact, it's all my mother-in-law's doing. She blames everything on me, and my husband believes it all. As a result, we've been getting along poorly lately, even sleeping in separate rooms. The reason given was that there are plenty of rooms in the house. Sure, we have spare rooms for future kids, but I never thought it would lead to marital separation. This meal's awful. Maybe Eleanor's cooking doesn't suit your taste, Mom. She might be taste deaf. If I have to eat this lousy food, I'd rather eat out. Yeah, let's get some yummy seafood. And so, my cooking remains uneaten, and I eat alone every day. In the vast room, only the TV seems to talk to me. What a pitiful life. Why am I being ignored? What did I do wrong? I just don't get it. There's a limit to how much to be ignored. Recently, the stress has gotten so bad that I've developed alopecia areata. It was supposed to be a happy marriage, but here I am, stressed to the point of losing my hair. Who could have imagined this? One day, when I returned from work and tried to unlock the front door. What? It won't open. I could insert the key, but it wouldn't turn. Strange, why is that? I tried several times, but it just wouldn't budge. Then, I heard laughter from the other side of the door. Are you there? The key won't turn. Can you open the door, please? I expected to be ignored, but I couldn't start dinner without getting inside. And I knew I'd get snide comments if I didn't cook, even though no one would eat it. Please, open the door. But contrary to my expectations, I heard her voice. You're not needed here anymore. What? Don't you get it? You're not needed anymore. That's why I changed the locks, so you can't get in. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. What do you mean by that? It's simple. This is no longer your home. So, please go somewhere else. After that, I heard nothing more from my mother-in-law. What's going on? I muttered, bewildered as I returned to my car. I tried calling my husband. But even though the phone rang, he didn't pick up. No matter how many times I called, there was no answer, leading me to suspect that he and his mother were in cahoots. Knowing those two, it must be true. They're really going to this extent to drive me away, which is just too much. If they wanted me out, they should have discussed divorce, but there was no talk of that. No choice, I guess I'll stay at a motel for the night. I resigned and drove to the motel. Lying in bed, I felt even more confused. I hadn't done anything to deserve this treatment. In fact, I had been the one putting up with things. I tried contacting my mother-in-law again. And also my husband. But to no avail. I tried calling at different times, even when I thought my husband would be home, but he still didn't answer. What's happening? Do they want to break up? If so, they need to tell me because I can't understand without any communication. Days turned into a week, and I still couldn't reach either of them. This is costing me a fortune in motel fees. I don't want to worry Mom, but I have no choice but to go back home. So, I decided to return to my parents' home for the time being. But that house is mine, too. If this continues, I'll keep paying the mortgage without living there. This is ridiculous. After much thought, I decided it was pointless to keep paying the mortgage and resolved to sell the house. I contacted a friend who was a realtor, and they said they could quickly sell it. Well, it's bound to be lower than the purchase price, considering it's been 3 years. I reasoned with myself, preparing to hand it over to the realtor. It's not fair to sell the house without telling George and his mother. If they were suddenly told to vacate, they'd be in trouble too. Even though they had done the same to me, I couldn't bring myself to do it when I thought about their predicament. I'll just text them on Messenger, and if they don't read it, then I'll go through with it. I can't keep taking care of everything forever. So, I messaged my husband and his mother about my decision to sell the house. Expecting to be ignored. But surprisingly, right after sending the message, I got a reply from my mother-in-law. What the heck is this? Hi, it's been a while. How dare you say such a cliché? Well, I couldn't think of any other way. What's this all about? Why are you selling the house? It doesn't make sense to keep paying the mortgage when I'm not living there. You're supposed to pay it, aren't you? Why should I? Because you built that house. True, but then I guess it's my decision to sell it, right? That's ridiculous. We're living here. That's why I'm telling you about it now. I wouldn't want you to be suddenly forced to leave. Of course. We'd have nowhere to go if you just kicked us out. I was in the same situation, you know. What are you talking about? About the time you changed the locks and I couldn't enter my own house. That was necessary. We really don't need you around. What an attitude. Even after doing such terrible things, she doesn't feel any guilt. Anyway, there's no need for me to keep paying the mortgage anymore. I'll be selling the house soon, so please prepare to move out. I won't allow that. Even after that, a flood of messages from my mother-in-law kept coming and pressing me hard. But I didn't respond to any of them, completely ignoring her messages. I've said what I needed to say, and whether they move out or not is their own decision. However, that night, my husband called. It seemed he thought I stopped replying because it was a text conversation.
Hey! What's this all about?
What do you mean? You must have heard from your mother. Besides, am I being kicked out of the house because you want a divorce?
We're not talking about that right now. Don't change the subject. I won't allow you to sell the house.
But
this is my house.
But the house is in my name, isn't it? In your name? What's that supposed to mean? Don't you remember when we were building the house, and we discussed whose name it would be in? You said you'd handle the living expenses, so the mortgage should be in my name.
Oh, right. That's true. But what does that have to do with the ownership?
Didn't you say it would be too much hassle to arrange the paperwork in your name? And when I said if the house was in your name, you'd have to pay the taxes, you didn't want that. So, you insisted it be in my name, remember?
Yeah. I guess I did say that. But even if it's in your name, I'm living here. And we built this house together.
But I, the owner, am not there. It's absurd to keep paying the mortgage after being kicked out. That's why I've decided to sell it. There's nothing odd about it. It's a house built for the family. Then are you going to take over the mortgage payments? If so, that's fine by me. Back then, my husband left everything to me. The house's title, the taxes, the paperwork, and the mortgage. Everything was made to come to me.
Now that I can't enter the house, it's unnecessary for me. Don't be ridiculous. I'll never allow you to sell the house.
Then let's have a proper discussion. If we continue living separately, it needs to be decided whether we get a divorce or not. My belongings are still there, after all. Above all, I don't like this uncertainty. All right, that makes sense. Come over tomorrow, then. So, I stepped into that house again, but I was faced with a shocking truth. Let's settle the divorce issue first. My husband said, presenting me with a blank divorce form. He probably searched for the website and downloaded it. He really intended to divorce. Staring at the divorce paper, I couldn't decide whether to sign it or not. Should I make it this easy to end the marriage? I had anticipated something like this, yet I hesitated.
What's the matter? Hurry up and sign it. I can't be married to a woman who does things her own way. I disliked what you said yesterday, and that made me want to divorce for sure.
So, it's all my fault, is it?
What are you hesitating for? Take it quickly. Yes, hurry up and proceed with it. We don't need a selfish woman like you.
That's when it happened. The front door opened, and a woman's voice said, "I'm home." Moreover, she entered the living room carrying bags filled with vegetables and meat. "Oh, do we have a guest?" "Sorry, I didn't notice," she said, noticing the divorce paper on the table and smiling unpleasantly. Ah, the ex-wife. Finally ready to agree to the divorce, right? Excuse me? You not divorcing George meant I couldn't marry him. Right, George. Wait, what does this mean?
George always told me you wouldn't agree to the divorce. Of course, that makes sense. At your age, remarriage must be difficult. Clinging to the role of a wife, I get it.
What are you talking about?
What do you mean, what? You know George and I have been together for 3 years, right?
What? 3 years. Around the time this house was built?
Since then, George has been asking you for a divorce. But you just wouldn't agree, making it hard for me to marry him. Clinging to this house just because you want it. How greedy can you be?
Listening to her, things started to make sense to me. So, you started being harsh to me right after we moved in with your mother because you wanted to remarry with this person. You had a girlfriend? What? You didn't know? What do you mean? George, what is she talking about? Oh, she's just confused. Probably doesn't remember what we talked about. Ah, I see. That's why George was so tired of her. Yeah, that's right. Isn't it, Mom? That's right. George never liked you. So, you all have been deceiving me. No, it's not like we've been deceiving you.
It shouldn't matter if she came into the house.
You left on your own.
Left on my own? You're the one who changed the locks and made sure I couldn't get in. But you still chose to leave.
I see. I understand now. I took a divorce paper and put it in my bag. Then, I'll be selling this house.
That's ridiculous. This is my house. The divorce has been decided. Since the house is in my name, it's my right to sell it or do whatever I please. No way. Then transfer the title to me. There's something called division of property in a divorce, right? Just give me the house and we can end this.
Do you really think you can afford the mortgage on this house?
What are you talking about? If you can pay, why can't I? Don't say something stupid.
Really? Are you sure about this?
Yeah, I don't care. Anyway, if the house stayed in your name, you'd do something bad with it. You're that kind of woman.
All right, then. I'll give you the house in the property division, and I'll take the house savings. In exchange, I'll leave the furniture and household items. Well, okay. My husband had no idea how much the mortgage was. He never bothered to check. He didn't care about how much I had been paying each month. And now, with this other woman in the picture. Once this house is gone, he'll likely never own a house again. My husband must have thought he could win over the woman with the house as bait. Once the house is gone, it's clear she will look down on him. That's why, even if he has to give up his savings, he wants to keep the house. What a foolish man. The lowest of the low, he deserves to go to hell. A month later, I received a call from George. To my amazement, he was frantic about the mortgage not being paid.
Hey! What's going on? The mortgage isn't paid.
What? That's none of my business now. The house is yours.
What are you talking about? The title might be mine now, but the mortgage is yours.
What? Why would that be? I just asked for the title, I never said I'd pay the mortgage. That's why I asked if you could afford the mortgage. You said it would be easy, remember? What? Is that what you meant? What else could it mean? I asked if you were sure, but now there's nothing you can do. The mortgage. I have to pay it? Why did you think I would be paying after that conversation? How selfish can you be? How much is the mortgage each month? It's $2,000 a month. $2,000? Half of my $4,000 salary is going to the mortgage? Exactly. How can I live like this? My allowance, her allowance. You give her an allowance? Of course.
Of course. I never got an allowance from you.
But you were working. Then she should work too, right? No, she can't. She's a natural-born lazybones. I can't ask her to work.
Ridiculous. Then you have to figure it out. I'm divorced from you now, so it's not my problem.
Don't say that. I'm curious. Where did you two meet? How do you even have a connection if she's jobless? We met on a dating site.
You were on a dating site?
Yeah, well. So, you met there and had an affair? Well, yes. This is not funny. We're divorced now, so it doesn't matter.
I can't believe you wanted to marry someone like her. The same goes for her.
When we were married, things were fine, so I thought it would work out. I was working, remember? Well, do as you like. I don't care anymore. 6 months passed. Without any contact from George. I thought he and his wife must have managed to get by. However, what George said next was completely unexpected. It's no good. What now? Actually, I was planning to use Mom's savings to pay the mortgage. But she doesn't have any savings. Oh, your mother, she's quite the social butterfly. Exactly. She said in the past 3 years, she's been traveling, going to bars, and eating at fancy restaurants. She doesn't have any savings left. I see. When I asked her what she planned to do, she said she thought it would be okay because I was there. I see. When I asked about her pension, it turned out to be just a tiny amount. Maybe you should get your new wife to work? Yeah, I realized this situation was bad, so I asked her to work. Then she said it's terrible to ask her to work since she's never had a job before. She said she married me because I promised she wouldn't have to work and that I'd support her as a housewife. But she doesn't even do any housework. Well, she's a cute wife, isn't that enough? She's always fighting with mom every day. Your new wife fights with your mother? Yeah. In the end, mom loses and does all the household work. Wow, she even defeated her mother-in-law. That's some strength. Too strong. This is unsustainable. Well, that's what you chose. Don't say that. Please, lend me some money. What? You're asking me, a stranger, to lend you money? You must be joking. We're strangers, why would I lend you anything? You should have your own personal savings. Well, I spent a lot to win her over, and now my savings are gone. How foolish can you be? I thought you would keep paying the mortgage, so I believed everything would be fine. And yet, why did you cheat and get a divorce? Your actions are completely nonsensical. I thought you would keep paying even after the divorce. I believed you wouldn't abandon me because you're kind. That's some wishful thinking. Who in the world, after being dumped, would still support their ex? That's just not happening. You really won't lend me any money? Of course not. No one lends money to someone with no prospects of paying back. Fine. Then I'll borrow from a payday loan service. Do whatever you want. It has nothing to do with me. The debt collectors will come to your place? What? Why would they come to me, a stranger? That's not going to happen. Despite his nonsensical claims, 6 months later, he came to see me directly. I borrowed from a payday lender. It seemed he had really borrowed and was trying to make it work. But I can't make the repayments. How much did you borrow? I borrowed enough for the short term, but then the next month's mortgage payment came, and I ended up with both the payday loan and the mortgage. That's to be expected. The debt collectors are relentless. I feel like I'm going bald. Interestingly, my alopecia had settled down, and my hair was growing back in. That must have been the result of my resolution to get divorced. I told the debt collectors to go to you since I couldn't pay, but they refused, saying the debt was mine. That's too obvious. Please help me, I'm desperate. George begged. Why not ask your new wife for help? She already left the house. What? You just got married and she left that quickly? She couldn't stand the situation, and she took all the little savings, anything that looked valuable, claiming it was her share of the property. Oh dear. And now the real estate agent is telling me to leave the house. Why? That woman, she used documents without permission and sold the house on her own. She ended up running off with everything. Oh dear. Your wife was smarter than you. Come on, help me out. No way. George and his mother eventually had to move into a shabby apartment. For a while, he seemed determined to find his runaway wife and recover the money from the house sale. However, despite all his efforts on the internet, he never saw her again. Eventually, tired George realized that he had to focus on repaying his debts. Despite both him and his mother working, she couldn't stand such a life and got hooked on a dating site for seniors, moving in with a man she met there and starting a new life. Quite resilient. And so, George was left with the harsh reality of his mortgage and debt collectors. He started working a night job in addition to his day job. Resigned to his fate, he focused on making regular payments. However, to make him suffer more for what he did to me, I demanded spousal support, which I hadn't claimed yet, $60,000. He protested, saying he couldn't pay, but when I threatened legal action through a lawyer, he somehow managed to pay. As a result, his debts increased and he's worn out. It's only fair, considering how much he made me suffer. And me? I'm still working, vowing not to fall for another foolish man who relies on a woman's earnings, and am currently searching for a new love. I'm going to remarry this woman. My ex-husband declared just 3 days after our divorce. He brought his new partner to my parents' house, where he ambushed me to make this announcement. It seemed he wanted to see my frustrated reaction. Beaming with pride, he said, "As you can see, she's incredibly beautiful. She's kind, gentle, and comes from a prestigious family. Her father is a CEO. She's the perfect wife." I couldn't care less about my ex-husband's new partner, but I was curious about the woman who would come all the way to my parents' house. When I glanced at her, she slightly lifted her hat, and our eyes met. I recognized her face, and for a moment I was stunned, but then I burst into laughter. I'm Aileen Standish, a 40-year-old working in IT. My husband, Tyler, was also my age. We had known each other since high school. Back then, Tyler was the life of the party, always involved in school or sports events. He was popular with everyone, and even captained the soccer team. I, on the other hand, was introverted, preferring books over social events, the complete opposite of Tyler. Despite our differences, we ended up attending the same university and even in the same faculty. Tyler was full of questions. "You're Aileen, right? Do you live nearby? What's your major? Made any friends?" I'd never had a male friend, so I was overwhelmed and initially kept quiet. Even so, my husband didn't stop talking to me, so gradually I opened up and we became close. Tyler always had a naive side to him. Like the time he thought he was scouted by an entertainment agency, but it turned out to be a suspicious venture asking for a $10,000 membership fee according to my research. Sometimes he almost fell for an easy-to-understand scam. I couldn't leave him alone, and while I was trying to take care of him, he told me, "I can't live without you," who is a reliable person. I started to think that there was no such thing, and we decided to start dating. When we started dating, I knew that he was cute, even though he was more motivated than anyone else, but he was kind of lazy. He had a certain charm, despite his cluelessness. Our relationship flourished, and we eventually married after graduating and finding jobs at different companies. We were happy. My husband also worked diligently and helped with the housework, and we got along well. At the height of such happiness, there was new good news. I became pregnant. I was hoping that my husband would become a little more manly and reliable because of my pregnancy, but he often said, "Dinner? I'm sick today, so maybe get something from the supermarket today?" Again? "I'll wait until you feel better, so go ahead and make me some food," he said, giving no indication that he cared about me as a pregnant woman. What's more, when my belly started to grow little by little, he often made comments like, "You've really gained weight. You look like a wrestler." I was often irritated with my husband, but for the sake of my unborn child, I was careful not to accumulate stress by going home to take a breather. After a long pregnancy, I safely gave birth to a baby girl. I named the baby Hannah. There were many things I didn't understand and difficulties raising my child for the first time, but I was very happy spending time with my daughter and husband. A year has passed since my daughter was born, and my maternity leave has ended, so I returned to work. I was originally working full-time, but balancing childcare and work was harder than I expected, both physically and mentally. In the end, I consulted with my husband and coworkers and decided to switch to part-time. When I started working shorter hours, my husband's sloppy personality escalated further. "Hey, have you cleaned the bathroom? Just do the cleaning yourself," he said. "Your working hours are short, so you should have some free time." While I was preparing dinner, my daughter suddenly started crying. "Hey, I can't keep my hands off it, so please take care of Hannah and change her diaper." When I said that, he retorted, "I can't do it. I'll never be able to change a diaper. It'll hurt my nose, too." The days were tough, but to be honest, I had gotten used to the situation, and before I knew it, 8 years had passed. Now that my daughter is 8 years old, I don't have much to do with her anymore, so I was planning to put even more effort into my work from now on, but suddenly my husband said, "I'm quitting my job."
What do you suddenly say when our daughter is finally grown up?
He said things like, "I want to grow more. I don't want to be just a worker." My husband sometimes behaves in strange ways that surprise everyone around him, and I call them seizures. I watched him for a while, thinking that it was just another of his whims, when he suddenly announced that he was quitting his job, but his desire to change jobs never seemed to subside. Finally, without consulting me at all, he simply said, "I found a new job, so I'm quitting my job. I'll start working at the new company in 2 days." I thought I would stop them if they were trying to do something suspicious again, but when I looked into the company, thankfully, it was a reputable company. But at this new job, Tyler's delusions grew. He started talking about becoming the CEO and demanding respect as a future leader. My daughter and I were simply bemused by his antics. Things only got worse with Tyler's behavior and attitude. "You look older now. All the young girls at work are so pretty." "Huh? You're getting older too. It's natural for everyone." "I know, but you could at least try to be more fashionable. Look at this woman, she's got 2 kids and still looks stunning." He was showing me a photo of a popular Instagram influencer. I was annoyed at being compared to her. I mean, I do keep myself pretty well put together, especially considering I'm 40 and have a child. It was frustrating how he pushed all the housework and parenting onto me while drooling over young, pretty girls. Around this time, Tyler started working late more often and coming home less. "You've been coming home late recently." "Really? It's the usual time, isn't it?" he replied, but his return time was definitely later. Especially on Tuesdays and Fridays, when he wouldn't be home before 10 p.m. "Why are you always late on Tuesdays and Fridays?" When I asked, he suddenly spoke quickly and defensively, "It's for a project. We have meetings only on Tuesdays and Fridays." "Are you doubting me?" He seemed quite unsettled. "Okay, got it," I said, and he looked visibly relieved. But I was suspicious. Ever since we were dating, he always talked fast and got angry when he was lying or feeling guilty. His behavior was predictable. So, I took action. While Tyler was in the shower, I checked his phone. I remembered the password. He once said, "My car license plate number and the password on my old cell phone are all 4649. It was just like him to be that simple. When I entered 4649, the phone unlocked. And there it was, evidence of his affair all over his phone. Messages on text like, "I'm free this Friday, can't wait to see you, and is your wife okay with this? She's clueless, no worries." There were also many photos of him cozy with his coworker. It seemed to be a junior at the company. I transferred all the evidence to my phone, shaking with anger. With all the proof gathered, I finally confronted Tyler about a divorce. Initially, he denied everything, but when faced with the evidence, he turned pale.
"I'm sorry. Please don't divorce me."
"You wanted a divorce, that's why you cheated and grew cold."
"No, it was just a momentary lapse. I don't want to lose you or Hannah. Please."
I was filled with hatred for him, but couldn't bring myself to divorce for our daughter's sake, who was 8 at the time. I decided to stay married on the condition that he cease all contact with the woman in the future. It seems that she voluntarily resigned from the company, perhaps because she felt uncomfortable having someone, with whom she had an affair, working at the same company. For 6 months, he seemed genuinely repentant, but a year later, he was back to his old ways, belittling me. I couldn't forgive him for the affair and his continuous disrespect. Our marriage was cold. But we stayed together for our daughter. No matter how many times I broached the subject of divorce, my husband continued to refuse. However, a week ago, Tyler suddenly asked for a divorce. "Let's divorce."
"What?"
"I've made up my mind. Let's divorce." "Why now? You always refused before." It's not that I didn't want to get divorced. I asked, genuinely curious. I also thought it was best for both of us to divorce. However, he refused to divorce, and he wondered why he had decided to divorce now, even though there had been many times before. It's your fault. Since my affair, you've changed. You never forgave me, and I'm sick of it. He blamed me. I had indeed never forgiven him. Not just for the affair, but for everything that followed. It's not just an affair. You've been insulting me all this time. I was doing it for your own good. A woman should take care of the house and maintain her looks. You were slacking, so I had to remind you. It's not my fault we're divorcing. That's when I realized he would never admit his faults. He always blamed me, never listening when I said he shared the blame. Finally, he insisted, it's not my fault. So no alimony or splitting assets, remember that. That confirmed it. Tyler wanted to come out on top in the divorce, insisting it was all my fault. There's something wrong with my husband saying things like this. I suspected he might be having another affair. He was so predictable. Getting agitated and talking fast just like before. In the past, I would have confronted him. But now, I have no more interest in him. Fine, let's divorce. I don't need your assets, but I won't give up living with my daughter. All right, that's fine. I said, utterly dismayed at how easily Tyler seemed to give up on our daughter despite always claiming she was so important to him. Soon after, we went through the divorce proceedings and finalized it without any trouble. I moved back to my parents' house with my daughter. She wasn't opposed to the divorce and wanted to come with me, saying, Dad's hardly ever home anyway, and he's so mean to you, Mom. I think it's better if we're apart. I just want you to be happy. I was ready to start a new life with my daughter and my parents, but just 3 days after the divorce, an unexpected event occurred. When I came home from work one day, I saw Tyler and a woman with long black hair in front of the house. She was wearing a hat that obscured her face, giving me a bad feeling. I wanted to ignore them, but since they were in front of my family's house, I couldn't just leave them there. Approaching them, Tyler came towards me with a smug smile. What do you want? I asked apprehensively. I'm going to remarry this woman, he announced triumphantly, his eyes sparkling. Just 3 days after we decided divorce. It was obvious that their relationship overlapped with our marriage. And now he was bragging about it so loudly. What kind of person does that? Has my husband started having strange seizures again? I couldn't help feeling disgusted, thinking this was another one of Tyler's bizarre episodes. I tried to show my disgust openly, but Tyler, absorbed in his story, didn't seem to notice. He went on about his new wife, unasked. As you can see, she's incredibly beautiful, kind, gentle, and her father is a CEO. She comes from a prestigious family. She's the perfect wife. Though I didn't care about Tyler's new partner, I couldn't help but peek at her face. When she slightly lifted her hat, our eyes met. And I recognized her face instantly, freezing for a moment. Seeing me, her face turned pale. I couldn't help but burst into laughter. Stop it, this is too funny. What are you laughing at? Because I know this woman very well. The easy target you mentioned, Tyler, was actually you. Tyler naively responded, a target? You two know each other? What a small world. Meanwhile, the woman, trying to leave, said to Tyler, I'm feeling sick, can we go home now? Her name is Natalia, and she's trying to leave right now, as if she can't stay here anymore. But Tyler stopped her. Laughing cluelessly, what's wrong, Natalia? I didn't know you knew Eileen. Natalia tried to stop him, saying, stop it. We should go home, but my ex-husband showed no signs of coming home. How did you know each other? He asked us, so I explained. Actually, we had worked together for about 7 years. We had been working together for 7 years. While I was explaining my relationship with Natalia, she seemed quite upset and uncomfortable. However, Tyler doesn't notice her behavior and tells me how perfect she is. She's a 29-year-old beauty, graduated from a prestigious university, kinder and gentler than you, a great cook, and a perfect wife. I'm glad I divorced you. I'm sorry that I'm the only one who is happy, he said sarcastically. Huh? What a lovely woman. I tried to empathize with him, but I couldn't stop grinning. When he saw me grinning without crying or feeling regret, he started to get irritated.
Why aren't you more upset? Crying and screaming? Or are you speechless because my new wife is just too perfect?
I see. Tyler must have come to show off his new partner, hoping to see me upset. But honestly, I felt neither envy nor regret. I had no feelings left for my ex-husband, and it didn't matter to me whom he remarried. However, the fact that his new partner was Natalia was just too amusing. Seeing Natalia's face turn pale, I decided it was time to reveal her true identity to Tyler.
I was just surprised by your new partner, Natalia. I guess Natalia was famous at the office for being a beautiful high achiever. It's no wonder you're shocked that such a perfect woman would marry me.
Yes, indeed.
Natalia was quite famous.
Natalia glared at me fiercely, silently begging me not to say more.
Natalia, you said before you quit your job that you were having an affair with a married man, and it turns out that man was Tyler.
What a surprise.
Hey, you can't do it! Don't go around saying you're cheating.
Tyler was momentarily taken aback by this revelation of his pre-divorce affair, but soon shrugged it off. It was about my stupid husband anyway. Seeing Tyler so smitten with Natalia, I decided to share more about her.
Natalia was promoted quickly at work, maybe because she had a special relationship with the company president. Hey, wait a minute!
When was it?
I remember you said loudly during lunch break that all men are just wallets to you. That you could easily hook them by selling your body. What? You were famous for saying that you slept with the bosses for promotions or money. That's a lie! You must be mistaken. Right. But it was a mistake to get involved with the president. His wife found out about the affair, leading to your firing, right? Stop it! Don't make up lies! It's not true! Tyler, she's just jealous because we make such a perfect couple.
Natalia desperately tried to convince Tyler.
Then how about this? Can you still call it a lie?
I said, showing them a photo on my phone. It was a video of a drunken Natalia at a company party.
Men are just wallets. Buy some ready-made food, plate it up, and they think you're a great cook with no taste. Just undress a bit, and they'll pay you. Now I can pay off my debts.
Natalia ranted in the video. It was hard to see her as the gentle and kind person Tyler believed her to be.
So, all the meals you cooked were actually store-bought? And you have debts?
Tyler asked, confused. Yes, Natalia had a lot of debt. Tyler, in a panic, asked her to explain, but she fell silent.
Oh, and Natalia isn't 29 years old. She's 2 years younger than me, so 38.
Natalia had lied about her age. Sure, she looked young thanks to the money she received from men for Botox injections and cosmetic surgeries, but claiming to be 29 was a stretch. Tyler's lack of judgment in women was truly laughable.
And she's not a CEO's daughter. Her dad works in a factory. So that's why you were so adamant about not meeting your family. It's all lies, isn't it, Natalia? Was there even one true thing in what you said?
Tyler's face turned red with anger as he confronted her.
I'm sorry,
Natalia stammered, caught in her web of lies. It's astonishing that Tyler didn't notice any of Natalia's lies, but that's just like him. He judged her solely based on being young and beautiful, never really looking beyond her appearance. That's the kind of person he is. Discovering that his seemingly perfect Natalia was a facade of lies, Tyler was in shock. Apparently, they met about 6 months ago, and Natalia had been bragging to everyone, "I've found an easy mark, even though he's married." They met at a social bar. While I also questioned Tyler's integrity for attending such places despite being married, Natalia targeted him because he boasted, I work at a major company and earn a good salary. Hearing this, Natalia saw Tyler as an easy target. Despite noticing his wedding ring, she thought his money could help pay off her debts. Eventually, Tyler, wanting to divorce me to remarry Natalia, believed that by divorcing me quickly, he could use his income to support both of them. That's probably why she decided to marry Tyler. He probably thought he could start a new family with the younger Natalia. Tyler, looking at the apologizing Natalia with disdain, yelled, "I can't believe this. There's no way I can continue with all these lies." The irony of his own deceit was lost on him. He was just as guilty of lying as Natalia. "Tyler, you don't even work at that company, do you? And you always bragged about your high salary, but you earn less than me." That was... Stuttering, Tyler couldn't hide his disarray. Natalia, realizing Tyler's deceit, exploded in anger. "What? I was going to marry you thinking you were rich. What a letdown." She confronted him angrily and pushed him away. "Huh?" Tyler, stunned by her sudden change, was trembling. He loved Natalia for being young, beautiful, a great cook, and a supposed CEO's daughter, while she loved him for his supposed wealth. All their lies came to light, and their relationship crumbled. Realizing I had once been married to such a despicable man, I felt disgusted with myself but was simultaneously relieved to have divorced him. The two liars were indeed a perfect match. As I told them I'd claimed division of property and tried to enter my house, Tyler naively exclaimed, "We're already divorced, you can't claim my property." Actually, the process is still ongoing. Maybe you should look it up. If you hadn't come to tell me, I might never have known about the affair. Hearing this, both of their faces turned red. "I'll discuss further through my lawyer," I said, finally entering my house. They continued arguing loudly outside, causing a nuisance to the neighbors, and were eventually taken away by the police. Later, with my lawyer's help, we finally finalized our division of property. I was delighted to sever ties with such despicable people. Afterwards, I heard from a colleague that Tyler broke up with Natalia. Now, both Tyler and Natalia are without partners and living in a run-down apartment. As for me, I vowed to find happiness for the sake of my lovely daughter.